We have an upcoming fantasy sword fighting movie starring one of the most fan favorite actors working today, directed by the guy who made all 4 John Wick movies. How is this movie not going to be good? What's cooking, my fellow rock and rollers? We are going to be discussing whether or not the upcoming Highlander remake starring Henry Cavill could be the next big franchise or not. Let's dive right into it. Last week, we got our first look at Henry Cavill as Connor McLeod for the upcoming remake of Highlander. You guys remember Highlander, right? That 80s fantasy sword fighting film that seems to be forgotten for the most part in the broader aspects of pop culture, but retains a huge cult following? Well, much like most movies from the past, it's being remade in modern day because Hollywood can't seem to come up with anything new. Normally I would be against this because, like I just mentioned, why not just make something new instead of digging up an old franchise from the past and to butcher it like they always do? Except this time, I'm actually down with the idea of a Highlander remake. First of all, it's starring Henry Cavill. I don't know what wicked curse things God is playing with up there, but it's the biggest mystery in the universe why Henry isn't in more projects and isn't a gigantic star. Don't get me wrong, he's a big name that people know, but he's not big, which is a shame because in any other era of Hollywood, he would be in every project you could think of. He should be what Pedro Pascal is now, except people would actually like him. You can't help but feel bad for the guy because of how Hollywood has treated him. He spent years clawing his way to make a name for himself, gets casted as Superman, then the movies didn't do too well, gets fired as a result of Warner Bros. Not knowing what to do with DC, then gets hired again to play Superman because The Rock wanted a showdown with Black Adam as Superman, then gets fired again when Warner Bros. Decided to reboot the DC universe. And on top of that, he got hired to play one of his favorite characters, Geralt from The Witcher, in a Netflix series adaptation, and subsequently left the show because the showrunner and producers didn't like that Cavill was trying to stick as closely as possible to the source material. God, I hate modern Hollywood so fucking much.
I'm the most annoying guy on set because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can do this.
His other movies haven't done that well either. He's in Enola Holmes for like 5 minutes in both movies. He was in that Argyle movie for like 2 minutes, and that movie bombed hard, and I think I read he fired his agent after that role. I can't officially confirm that, I just read it somewhere, but it makes sense, and I hope he did at least. With every role Cavill takes on, he throws himself 100% effort into it and wants to make the best out of it. He's a genuine nerd that likes fantasy, sci-fi, and all that stuff, and he's also very masculine on top of that, and doesn't like to bend the knee to this whole toxic masculinity and toxic fan culture, which is why Hollywood hates the man. There's that famous interview of him where someone asks him, like, what do you think about, fan culture, toxicity, and all that? And he responds by saying this.
I'm curious if that's comparable to this sort of world, this culture of toxic fandom, where like if you make a movie, especially if you make a superhero movie, you have great intentions, but there are always going to be a small yet vocal group of people there can kind of just be toxic.
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when you're talking about books or games, because you're never going to be the exact person who they had in their head or who they played on Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate.
That video just shows what a good guy Henry is. Him agreeing to star in Highlander shows that the movie has to be at least good, right? There's no way after going through all that in his past that Cavill would sign up again for a big role if he didn't have some faith in the project and feel like his input wouldn't be appreciated. The second reason why I think the Highlander reboot will be at least decent is you got Chad Stahelski directing it. Stahelski famously comes from a stunt background in Hollywood, which is more than enough to show that you can handle something like a sword fighting epic. And of course, we can't forget the franchise that shot Stahelski to the top, John Wick. Stahelski co-directed the first John Wick with David Leitch and went on to solo direct 2 through 4. The success of John Wick is more than enough proof that Stahelski has what it takes to helm a franchise like Highlander. I say franchise because it's no secret that Hollywood loves franchises. More movies means more money. News broke a few years ago that Stahelski would be directing a Highlander reboot and would oversee the future of the John Wick franchise as well, and the brand new Highlander franchise. Stahelski had this to say on the matter. I am pleased to be able to grow my relationship with Lionsgate in this new oversight role for the John Wick universe and its further expansion. John Wick is so close to my heart, and to be able to continue shepherding it will be a blast for me. I'm so happy to be also launching another franchise with Highlander, a world that is so rich with engaging stories to be told. Stahelski having a stunt background and a deep appreciation for action means that the Highlander franchise is in good hands. There was another interview with Stahelski where he basically described Highlander as John Wick but with swords on steroids. How does that not sound fucking awesome?
He ain't lying.
Having him and Cavill team up seems like a match made in heaven. Both are extremely loyal to the craft of filmmaking and want the best possible outcome for any project they sign on to. Cavill even got seriously injured on set a while ago and they had to pause production to allow him to heal back up. Them allowing Cavill to heal up and not just replacing him is a good sign that everyone believes in the project. The last point I want to make is something that Chad said in the article quote about a rich world with so much storytelling potential. The Highlander universe, a universe about immortal beings who can't die unless they are beheaded, has so much potential for exciting storytelling. I know the franchise in the past, after the first one went a little wacky, and I think they brought aliens into the mix at some point if I'm not mistaken. If they stick to the main rules of the universe, that being no fighting on Holy Land, only a beheading can kill an immortal, then this is a franchise that's ripe for stories. You can literally do all genres. Have an immortal set in romantic, action, gothic fantasy, have it, be a horror tone, have one set in the Victorian era, hell, maybe have one set in like a Terminator style future or something of that nature. There's so much you could do with the concept of immortal beings. We don't know much about the plot for the upcoming reboot, but it's safe to say it'll be something akin to the original. So far we've just got 2 first look photos courtesy of Cavill, and some set photos and videos from London. It's not much to go on, but it looks like they're trying to do something close to the first. Another plus for this remake is the cast. You already got Cavill, you got Russell Crowe playing Ramirez, the mentor figure to Cavill's MacLeod, which is a nice touch given the history of Cavill and Crowe have together. For those who don't know, I'll try to be quick about it. Around the early 2000s when Gladiator came out, Crowe was filming another movie when he met a group of young fans playing soccer. One of those fans was a young Cavill. He came up and asked Crowe for any tips on becoming a great actor like him. Crowe responded with some tips and Henry went on his way. A couple weeks later, Henry got a package in the mail and it was a photo of Crowe as Maximus from Gladiator with a message basically saying, "Believe in yourself, don't give up on your dreams, yada yada," with a signature from Crowe. Years later, when Cavill and Crowe filmed Man of Steel together, Cavill brought the autograph to set and showed Crowe and he remembered. Cavill said that Crowe was the only person he wanted to play Ramirez. That's such a nice story and it really shows the integrity of both men. The rest of the cast is excellent as well. You got Dave Bautista as the Kurgan, which I know a lot of people don't like that casting and I'm somewhat in the middle. I like Bautista in the right roles, but him having to play the Kurgan following the legendary Clancy Brown as the character is a gargantuan task that I don't think Bautista is ready for, but we shall see. You also got Karen Gillan, Jimin Hansu, and Jeremy Irons. What a killer cast, especially Irons. Like I mentioned earlier, we have no idea if this movie will be good or not, but I have a feeling it will lean more on the good side. There's just too much talent behind the scenes, mainly Stahelski and Cavill, for it not to be. If they pull this off, the Highlander franchise could be a giant hit for the studio and have the potential for years and even decades of amazing stories to be told within the Highlander universe.